How do you know when it's time to change coaches? How do you not feel bad about it? What's the new protocol? Do you have a new coach? Did you switch coaches? When's your next show? What have you changed? I'm gonna try to make this as brief as possible, but there's a lot to cover. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is gonna be all about what the fuck is next. I prepped for 30 weeks hoping to win the overall at my regional show. I didn't even qualify for nationals, getting 3rd place out of a class of 4 girls. And now, what the fuck do I do? I have a whole list of questions from you guys that you want me to cover in this video. And I've gone through so many different scenarios in my head where I keep it to myself, where I don't post about it. I take this next show to just show up for myself and not have the pressure. But I've talked to you guys on my story. I basically communicate on my story as my primary means of communication. So if you're watching this and you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram at Fitt, and almost all my updates are on my story. But I told you guys on my story that it just felt wrong to go through everything I went through, bring you guys along everything, every 2-hour cardio session, every low carb day, every high, every low, every fucking IBS flare up, every constipation fucking Peter fucking disaster, everything, and then fail, prepare together, fail together, and then just fall off the face of the earth. That felt wrong, especially because I derived so much value from your guys' support. It would be selfish of me, and it'd be honestly, it'd be fucking pussy shit. It'd be straight up pussy shit for me to suddenly get scared to be vulnerable again. Because the biggest L I've ever taken was hyping up that show, hyping up that prep, getting so excited, and then blatantly failing. But it would be an even bigger L to do that, share a comeback journey, and then fail again. So honestly, if I kept it to myself, I'd be acting out of fear. And it's scary, I'm literally so fucking scared for what's to come. But I'm also confident in the changes, and I'm confident in myself and in our community, in our little army that I'm literally obsessed with. And I'm not gonna fucking act out of fear. That is literally pussy shit, which goes against every fiber of my being, you know? So I'm gonna try to make this as brief as possible, but there's a lot to cover. But first I think I need to bring you guys into some of the behind the scenes things that was happening during my prep that I don't think you guys knew about, which is probably the only thing you guys didn't know about, because I share pretty much every little detail of my life. Okay, so I would like to start this video with a huge caveat that my coach going into the show has been my coach for 4 years, and I have nothing but respect and good things to say about him. So when I talk about the protocol, maybe things that weren't working, it is by no means a statement on his ability to coach. He's a super successful, super knowledgeable coach. So when I talk about the approach, I want you guys to remember that it is simply the approach, the specific protocol for me, and not at all the person behind the approach and the protocol. I am on very good terms with my coach. Okay. So we're gonna start as soon as I stepped off stage in 2020. I stepped off stage in 2020 with my most successful season yet. I had won an overall, I got top call-outs at nationals, and when I stepped off that stage, it was in December, by the way. So my option was either a really short off season to be able to hit the summer shows, because most of the national shows, which is where your opportunity is to win your pro card, they're in the summer. So it was either take a really short off season, or, which is the game plan he had set for me, which was take all of 2021 off, actually finally take the time in a surplus, in a growing season, to put on the adequate muscle I need to be really competitive, and then come back in 2022 and hit the national circuit, starting with the first national show, Junior USA's in May. And I said, you know what, I'm finally gonna do it. I'm gonna take an entire year off. You guys know that's where the glute guide came, that's where all my muscle mass came. No regrets in taking all 2021 off. It was the best thing I could have done for my physique. So 2021 went by, I did my bulk, I did my growing season, all was dandy. And then on December 8th in 2021, I started prep. And I started prep 20 weeks out from the Pittsburgh Pro. I followed protocol to a T, I executed on the plan I was given, and as the Pittsburgh Pro was approaching, it became clear that I just was not lean enough and I would not be ready on time. historically my body's always been really resistant to fat loss, and I've never been able to be ready in 20 weeks. It's always been around 25 weeks. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So we forfeited the Pittsburgh Pro, but I still needed to qualify before Junior USA's at the end of May, which was the first national show, because my plan since 2020 was to run the entire national circuit. It kind of became clear though, shortly after of me executing the protocol, that I was still not going to be ready on time. So we forfeited the qualifiers for Junior USA's, which made me forfeit Junior USA's. There's 6 national shows a year. One of them is in December, so really there were only 5 realistic possibilities for me to run the summer circuit. So that was the first national show that we forfeited. My next show was supposed to be on June 11th. It was supposed to be a qualifier for Junior Nationals on June 17th. And a few weeks out from that, I kept telling my coach, I don't think I'm gonna be lean enough. I don't think my legs are getting lean enough. Like, what can we do? And I was told that I needed to recover so that we could push again, and recover so that we could push again. But a few weeks out from the show, it became clear I wasn't gonna be ready on time. So then I was told, maybe let's wait. So we forfeited that qualifier, which forfeited the second national show of the circuit. The third national show of the circuit was 2 weeks later, and I was also told that if I wasn't ready for Junior Nationals, I likely wouldn't be ready 2 weeks after. So we forfeited the third national show of the circuit. At this point, we're 20-something weeks into prep. After that, I was told, you know what, why don't we just push and aim for USA's at the end of July, and we'll do a qualifier before. And I said, you know what, the Governor's Cup is 3 weeks before USA's. It's where I won my overall. Is that a good option? And I was told yes. And right before I booked, I confirmed, are we going to be ready? Are we everything? Like, am I good to go? Should I register? And I was told, yes, register. And I was like, finally, it'll have been 30 weeks, but finally I have hope that I'm gonna be ready, because, you know, my shows kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back as I'm executing on a protocol and just being told, oh wait, we need more time. Oh wait, we need more time. So that was obviously frustrating, but I was so excited. Fast forward to about 15 to 16 days out from the Governor's Cup. That's when the whole Peter situation started. And that's when all my progress halted. My weight was staying high. I wasn't going to the bathroom. And at 12 days out, I texted my check-ins to my coach, and I was told, I think we should drop the show. We need more time. I didn't share this with you guys, but that really hurt me, I think. It had been 30 weeks at that point, or it would have been. I was 12 days out from my show. I kept posting 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out. I'd been working for this. I wanted this like reattempt at the overall so bad, and to be told, when doing 2 sessions of 75 minutes of cardio a day, low carb, depleted, tired, being told I needed more time, being suggested that I drop the show, that's when it really, really, really clicked for me that there has to be another way to get there. I mean, you guys, there's no way. At that point, you know, I told my coach, I was like, well, what's the plan? And I was told we need to recover so that we can push again. And I completely understand the philosophy behind the approach, but I just couldn't help but feel like we were doing the same thing over and over and over, and it had proven time and time and time and time again to just not be working. And maybe it worked once and maybe it worked twice, but still it didn't work enough, because here we are 30 weeks later, still not ready. And at that point, my friend suggested, why don't you reach out to somebody else? Just for a second opinion, somebody that you trust, somebody that can maybe help you just figure out the constipation situation. Like it really is worth it at this point. So I reached out to somebody else that I've talked to before. So I reached out to somebody else for a second opinion, and they FaceTimed me on the spot. They just had me kind of describe everything I was going through, and they suggested some theories of what they thought was going on. And when I was talking to this person, it really seemed like to them, what I felt like I was this broken enigma that no matter what we did, I just wouldn't respond. And to him, when I was explaining everything, it felt like there was like a puzzle that was just like perfectly fitting together in his brain as to like what's going on and how he would fix it. And feeling like somebody knew how to get my body to respond and knew how to get me ready. First of all, that was like a feeling of like hope that I hadn't felt in a really long time. Anywho, he was not my coach at this time, he's nothing, but he suggested a protocol for that day. And so I said, okay, thank you so much. Like, I appreciate this beyond belief. Like, I'm just kind of like at a place where I don't know what to do and I don't know who to turn to. So I figured any expert advice is welcome. So I went straight to my coach. I'm not the type of person to ever do something behind my coach's back. You know, I have my coach, he's in charge of my protocol. So anything I'm going to do, any gram of anything I'm going to eat, any extra minute of exercise I'm going to do, I'm running it by my coach, point and blank. And I said, hey, I reached out to a second opinion just because I'm trying to find every possible solution to, you know, this plateau, this Peter situation, everything. Like, we have the same end goal. And he recommended this. What are your thoughts? And so my coach had a chat with the person I reached out to, and they, you know, he decided on a protocol for those 2 days. That was a huge influx of carbs, more than I had been used to, and then pushing from that point on. And the huge influx in carbs had been the suggestion of the person I reached out to. And it was basically more of a recovery than I've ever taken before, more of an influx of just food that I've ever taken before. And from that point on, during peak week for my show, I lost 7 pounds. Because when my coach suggested I drop the show, I respectfully said no. I said no. I'm registered. Get me ready. Like, I didn't say that, but I'm like, no, like, you don't just get to push it off and off at my expense. You know what I mean? Anyways, lo and behold, I do start to drop some weight, but when you drop 7 pounds in a week, it's very unlikely that it's fat loss. A lot of it is water, a lot of it is fluid. I might have come in flat, I don't know. But I felt obviously so much better going into the show than I did at that 12-day out mark when I was dealing with Peter and I was told to drop the show. That was a really, really hard day, like a really hard day. Anywho, so fast forward, the show comes, and I think pretty much the entire time leading into the show, I knew that I was gonna part ways with my coach after the show because I just felt like I needed a new approach. It was nothing personal at all with my previous coach. When you work with somebody for a really, really, really long time, sometimes it works against you for them to know your body because they start to assume things because of historical data that maybe are not true anymore. And I felt like I needed somebody who has never worked with my body, doesn't know like anything about it, and just takes at face value the goal and then creates a plan to get there regardless of what they think my body responds to or doesn't respond to, because they don't know, they've never worked with me. This was not like a rash decision of me saying like, I didn't get the outcome I wanted, so I'm abandoning my coach. Like I said, this has been a long time coming. More than just 12 days out. This has been the person that I reached out to at that moment. The reason I reached out to them for that second opinion initially was because I talked to them in the past, just as like people on Instagram. I enjoy their content. I enjoy the value that they have to put out. They're a phenomenal coach. And so I've always kind of like had them there. And so when I thought like, who's somebody whose opinion I would trust? They were my first person. Anywho, so when I stepped off stage, got third, I kind of started the conversation, and I had a conversation with my previous coach, and then I had a conversation with my new coach. So lo and behold, I did switch coaches, and my new coach is Dylan Bear. And I asked him his specific credentials so that I didn't butcher it, because this guy is loaded up the wazoo with knowledge, credentials, expertise, everything. When I tell you that I could not be more confident in somebody's like ability, education, and background to guide me through this comeback, I genuinely mean that. I'm just so happy. So Dylan Bear is the CEO of Bear Aesthetics, if you've ever heard of his coaching team. He has his Master's of Science in Medical Dietetics. He is a registered dietitian and a licensed dietitian. And I asked him to explain some of the science behind some of the decisions that we've made moving forward with my new protocol. So I'm gonna explain the protocol, and then I'll explain Dylan's philosophy behind them. And I think that that's super exciting to just kind of get to understand everything that's going on and why. So as soon as I stepped off stage, Dylan told me, enjoy your meal. He sent me like a 4-minute voice note. And then he told me, take an intuitive day because this is the plan that I have for you. He already told me the shows that he had in mind for me. He told me his vision for me. And then he told me the national show that we should aim for. And he already had it all mapped out. It wasn't like this, like, we'll take it as it goes. I asked him, like, do you think we'll get there on time? And there was no doubt. Like, I just felt so confident in his ability to guide me and in his ability to have a plan in place to do so, if that makes sense. So I took my intuitive day on Sunday after the show. And then on Monday, I woke up, he was on flight home from Europe, texted me like twice to make sure I got the text through the plane Wi-Fi with my new protocol for the day. So for the first week after I stepped off stage, I was on a diet break and my carbs were higher than they have been consistently in, I think, since my off season, okay? And my cardio was down to 30 minutes, I think. It was crazy. And my weight was steadily dropping and dropping and dropping. Obviously it was up from post-show, so it was steadily dropping. After our first check-in, we bumped cardio up a little bit to 45 minutes and we bumped carbs down a little bit, still higher. My carbs, even though they were bumped down, they were still at my previous recovery macros. And kept dropping, and we just had our most recent check-in where we bumped cardio up to 55 minutes, but he has me doing different modes of cardio to just test how my body responds to them, because his theory is that I have a lot of systemic inflammation just from like excessive cardio, which is probably not the answer. And so we're testing different modes of cardio to see which ones are like, how we can maximize the like cardiovascular output of the mode while minimizing the like inflammatory response of my body to that mode. So that's where we are right now. I have check-ins tomorrow and we have decided on a show. I will be competing on August 6th in Phoenix. Dylan will be there. He lives in Arizona, so I think there's gonna be a couple of other Bare Aesthetic girls there. He's gonna be there and I'm just really excited. And I will be doing a show directly after that. So back-to-back shows in San Diego where my boyfriend lives. We're gonna be doing back-to-back peak weeks because the body can respond really well to that. Dylan has a whole philosophy as to kind of why back-to-back peak weeks can actually be beneficial. And then that will be on August 13th. And then on September 3rd, I will be doing my last show of the season, and it is my national show. It is the Pro Card Qualifier, and that will be North Americans in Pittsburgh. So that is the rest of my season mapped out. I'm bringing you guys along everything. And I could not be more excited, and I have like a newfound feeling of hope that I felt like I haven't had in a really long time. So I'm gonna answer some of the questions that you guys have about why we made these changes. So I asked Dylan to give me a brief explanation as to why the excessive cardio was working against me. I'm gonna read it verbatim so that I don't fuck it up because this man knows what he's talking about. He said, because your body was being overworked physically, metabolically, and calorically, thus decreasing your body's ability to fully recover and progress in the form of fat loss. In order to optimize recovery and progression, we drastically cut back cardio load while properly feeding your metabolism adequate nutrients and calories through a brief diet break. In doing so, our body's now able to progress at a more efficient rate with higher calories and much less cardio. So the way that I can explain that, given my knowledge, is our metabolisms are adaptive, okay? They burn energy because they need to, but from an evolutionary standpoint, the body's goal is always to conserve energy. You know, when we're talking about like hunter-gatherer, like caveman times, energy was not in a surplus. Calories, food, we were living in a time of scarcity, like as a species. And so all our processes are more evolutionarily advantageous if they can conserve our energy rather than expend it. Therefore, we have adaptive metabolisms. The more that we cut calories and the more that we increase cardio and we put our body in a state of a deficit, our metabolisms can actually slow down and down-regulate as a means and an attempt to conserve energy. And I think my body and my metabolism was so down-regulated that then you were asking it to do something like fat loss. Why would my body, evolutionarily speaking, want to do that when it's already like down-regulated to the point of saying like, wait, like we're trying to conserve this as much as possible. And now you're asking me like, no, it's not gonna be able to do that optimally. Like my body was in a state of like all these red alarms going off, and then you're asking it to do more, and it's like, dude, chill, like we have to deal with these fucking alarms first, you know? So what we did is we turned off all those alarms. We said you are not in a calorically deprived state. Like, you are good, you are in homeostasis, you are recovered. Now can you please lose some fucking body fat? And it's like, okay, you know what? Bet. I think we're in the clear. In general now, I think that we basically allowed my metabolism to like reset to the higher calories at that point. Now we're able to see even more fat loss without ever getting that high again, because we're starting from like the new recovered standpoint, if that makes sense. The last question I got, which I did want to cover, was, I've been in prep for 30 weeks, which is a long time. Why not step back and give myself a break? Especially when my body isn't responding the way I want it to. And to sum that up, when I stepped off stage and I got third, my previous coach suggested that we just try again in December. And that didn't sit well with me, because none of my feedback requires an off season. If I needed more size, if I needed more fullness, if I needed anything other than leanness, I agree, maybe step back. But my feedback was to get tighter. And the only thing that achieves that is prep. It's pushing a little bit further. I did not do a 30-week prep with 2 hours of cardio, low calories, like lost so many friends. Like, I did not put myself through all this to step on a stage, get third, and then walk away when I'm so fucking close, you know? And I don't feel done, especially with Dylan's approach. I don't feel done. I don't feel like my body's in the gutter. I think the biggest thing that this change has brought is like a newfound, reinvigorated sense of hope. So, I didn't come this far to only come this far. And I'm so fucking excited for what's to come. Anywho, I think that kind of covers the biggest kind of questions, changes, and directions moving forward. I am now 16 days out. I am sitting right at stage weight and continuing to drop. My cardio is at 55 minutes right now. By the time this is out, you guys will probably see an update on my story as to what changes, if any, we made. And I'm feeling really, really hopeful. So whatever happens, I will see you guys in the next one. But I'm really happy and excited and just grateful that we were able to have this little sit down chat, probably longer than I ever imagined it would be. But just really excited to get your thoughts on the new protocol, answer all the questions you guys have had, and be able to move forward on my stories by like talking about how many days out I am. Like, I love sharing this stuff with you guys. I'm obsessed with sharing it with you guys because you guys make me so fucking happy. Okay, if you guys enjoyed this, please, please, please subscribe first and foremost. It helps so much. Share this with your friends, like this, comment. Yeah, I'm so excited. Okay, that's all. Thank you guys for tuning in.